Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Digital, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power, we're shining the light. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Digital, come ride this wave.
Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted. This is the show where we talk about digital assets from a lady's perspective. I'm Melissa. I'm joined by my beautiful co-hosts Keda and Lady K. Amanda is on location and won't be joining us this evening, but she will be back with us next week. How are you guys doing tonight?
Excellent.
I think me and Keda have it down.
Okay, you guys do. Well, you guys, welcome. No planned show. We're just gonna shoot from the hip. There's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. But first, I mean, we got 22 people in here already. 23. It's climbing.
Climbing.
Shout out to Silver Days every time. Number one fan of the Digital Ladies Unscripted show. We love you, Silver. Thanks so much for coming. If you guys are watching on X or Rumble or imutv.tv, shout out to Niall, Rob, and Fitzy. We are in the YouTube chat, so if you follow us over there, join the conversation. It's easier to see what you guys are posting for us in that chat. So come on over and join us. Who else do we got in here, Keda? We got 26 people already.
Well, we have 26 people, but there's not a whole lot of people chatting right now. All I have right now is just Silver Days, and I am sure that we will have other people that'll roll up in the spot.
I saw Stone.
Gone Rogue and Stone's in the house.
Okay, let me see. Maybe I need to update.
Miss Stephanie's here and William.
I love it.
Ooh, Archer.
Listen, XR Papa. I was on with Coffee Time. I think it was Coffee Time. I can't remember which show with Uncle Buster and Berserker, and XR Papa was in there. And man, does this guy know a lot about health and wellness and all of the things that keep you healthy in a natural kind of way. And I said, man, I want you to come on Dip a Toe Show sometime and join us and teach us, because he is really smart when it comes to that. So shout out to XR Papa. We love you.
Oh, I see Mr. Sam in the house.
Yes, I see him as well. And
Sylvie Scape. Love it. If you guys haven't listened to her music, she's on YouTube and it's really good. All you got to do is type in Sylvie Scape and you'll find it. It's fantastic. Yeah, thank you for coming, Mr. Sam. We love you. So yeah, guys, boy, the weather is changing here in Michigan, and I just can't get rid of the allergy thing. Like, it's like one thing after another, man. I'm like, really, I don't need this right now. But I am really happy because on my way home, my car temperature thing said it was like 73 degrees. I'm like, okay, just the other day it was 29 degrees. So, like, come on. It's like crypto, up and down, up and down. You don't know what's happening, right?
It's even worse here. I mean, geez, Louise. It has been really a hot mess when it comes to the weather, whether it's too hot or too cold. So as of right now, that's kind of what I've seen lately.
Well, nothing's more volatile than the price of gas, right? And
Oh,
that's really going up right now with everything happening.
Well, yeah, that's true. Although I was listening to some other spaces today, I was kind of dipping my toes into like different circles of folks, and someone had mentioned that, yes, the gas price went up pretty quickly, right? With all of the stuff that's going on. But then it dropped quite a bit from what it was. Like, it went up and then it came back down. So hopefully we won't see like these high gas prices that everybody's been chiming in and saying like $10
Mhm.
a gallon, because that would be awful, like really.
Mhm.
And I can't say that we haven't been warned, right? Those with the eyes to see that have been kind of following the political landscape, there has been warnings out there telling us to be prepared for these types of things because there's a lot of volatile things happening in the world, and you don't want to be caught with your pants down, right? With an empty gas tank and, $50 in your checking account, you know what I mean? Not being able to fill up your tank even. So, definitely fill your tanks up, guys. Drive around with a full
Mhm.
tank as much as you can, is what my suggestion is. I
Buy
mean,
the dip.
buy the
Buy the
dip,
dip.
baby. Buy the dip.
buy
It's
the
pertains
dip.
to more than just crypto. That's one thing I will say about folks that are interested in digital assets and crypto and that kind of watch. We are all too familiar with the manipulation of pricing, right?
Mhm.
So it just depends on what you're looking at, but they've been doing the same thing for years and years with things like gas, like our staples, things that we need. It is a mechanism of control,
Yeah.
because when you can't afford to go nowhere,
Yeah.
you're kind of grounded to home, right? Like you're grounded, you guys are grounded.
Well, what sucks is I got into crypto to get away from the manipulation, right? Only to find manipulation just as rampant here. And it's pretty clear to me now that there is nothing they cannot manipulate. And now knowing more than I know, I mean, manipulate the weather, disaster capitalism, right? Like they go that far. Um, but I had a point to that. I forgot it.
Well, what do you do to combat that, Lady K?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
in your arsenal?
Well, that's why I thought it would get away from manipulation because of the open order book, the public open order book, the CLOB, the DEX, but yeah, it just doesn't seem to work. So, you're gonna have your ups and downs and stuff, but if they manipulate it down, it's manipulated up. So I'm just gonna hold and wait.
Yeah. Well, at this time, I mean, we know like usually the opposite. You should do the opposite of what they want you to do, right? When it comes
Hmm.
to buying the dips and that sort of thing. But I'm wondering too, like, because it's such a small community at this point, those with big bags, big money, it wouldn't be that hard to manipulate the price of something, right? And
Hmm.
know that just from watching these smaller projects. That's one good thing about Dip a Toe and starting to look at the different projects and the people that are building, and it's a learning curve. There's a lot of people that are trying to build something, real world use cases and all the things. And one of the concerns for folks that are building a new business, they're trying to build something new, is to prevent people from coming and screwing up their tokenomics, right? Because if you have a lot of money, you can very easily manipulate the price unless you've got a really good system in place to prevent people from doing that. And so I think the only solution to that is more people. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm no expert on it by any stretch of the imagination, but when you have so few people within an economy, which is ours is a small economy right now, when you have so little people and just a lot of average people with average incomes, and then a few big old whales going in and playing little games with the little guys, because that's exactly what I feel like they're doing. um that kind of sucks. Now,
But here's the thing. I kind of had I had a conversation about this actually today. And it's funny that you say that because, we are in this, and because we're in it, our thought processes are very centered around this, right? But then when you step back and look at the ecosystem as a whole, the XRP community is very small. Like very small.
Like mama, little baby.
Very small. And then on top of it, for us, we have a certain amount of people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. On a daily basis, we see the same people, we see the same projects. That does not mean there's so many that there's not other things happening. It's just our ecosystem, our group, you understand what I mean? It's like, it's very like this. So it seems like there's so much happening and it's so big and it's so expansive. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. When you look at it from a global standpoint, and then when you think about the global population, and then compare the amount of people that hold XRP, have XRP, and maybe holding a lot of XRP, right? It's a very small amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the rich list. Did you see that's gone down, the 1%?
What's the 1%?
I did not.
Yeah, so it's like 1% of wallets hold this much XRP. And I mean, it used to be like 80, 70, 60,000, right? It's like 49,000 right now.
Wow.
The top 1%.
Wow.
Yeah. It's holding like 49,000 XRP or more.
I'm not surprised if you're thinking about it from our stand, like the layman. I'm not talking about, major companies, things of that nature, especially the way that the economy has gone. And then when you had the actual run up to $3 and change, right? Many people were cashing out because they were holding for so long. When you're holding for 16, 17 years, and now your sub a penny investment is now $3 and change, heck yeah, you're going to go ahead and cash out. And that makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
To those that were in it from that vantage point. But from those of us that have gotten into it after it went over a penny and, gained some traction and, maybe have been like 15, 25 cents to even 50 cents all the way up to $1. You know what I mean? Right now, people are looking at it as I've gotten a return on my investment. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what I'm looking for. It's not where I would like for it to be. So even in that has lowered the amount of people that are in XRP if they are not looking at it for the long haul.
You know how many people I've heard say, $5. I fully expect if we ever hit 5, it to just come crashing down from sell.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because people are going to sell out.
Human nature. I was listening to something, and I mean, I think about this often, just because I am a DCAer, slowly accumulating over time, right? And even, a semi-modest $100 a week investment into XRP in particular, at this point gets you about 75 XRP. And if you were to multiply that, like if it stayed steady, that's how much it's going to be, it would take you a year to get 3,850 XRP. And so as the price of XRP goes up, even if you're like, ask yourself, is your income going to go up as quickly in line with the prices of some of these assets that we have the opportunity to get into right now? So in my opinion, now is the time to be really doubling down and researching these projects, these coins, for the ones that we believe are going to have utility in the future, and look at the business connections and the whole 9 yards, the groundwork, all of the things, which ones are going to work together, all of the stuff that you should be looking at and seizing your opportunity, whether you have, $50 to put towards it, or 100, or whatever it may be. Start now, because as that price increases, it's the less and less that you can purchase. And so, all the people that's great. If they were able to buy it at 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, whatever, and they sold some off at $3, they made quite a profit. Good for them. However, if they're not buying back in right now, maybe those bags will stay low, right? And as that money comes in, when the big money comes in, don't think for a second, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, and this is not financial advice. Don't think that the people with the big money are going to let it go. They might control it. They're going to still control it because they like to play that little game where they make, 10, 20% in a day or whatever. They still can manipulate things. But at the end of the day, when it starts really climbing, once it starts hitting some really like higher numbers, I don't see those rich people intentionally crashing it once it really starts being used for what it's supposed to be used for. What do you guys think?
Well, then that would make it lose its utility, wouldn't it?
And their value, it's kind of like the people that are stuck in Bitcoin. I mean, I don't mean stuck in Bitcoin. I shouldn't say that. The people that are invested in Bitcoin right now, the ones that are holding, the hodlers, it doesn't behoove them to crash Bitcoin's price. It just doesn't. In my
according
opinion.
to Congress, 70% of that's wash trading, anyways. That was in a Congress hearing.
Yeah, tell us about that, Lady K. What were they saying about that?
Well, they were stating it as a fact when they were asking a witness a question, and I was just like shocked. I was like,
they said it.
Like, how does nobody talk about this, right? But then it's just said in a hearing, it's just matter of fact.
So they were saying they're wash trading back and
70%
forth.
70% of Bitcoin trades are wash trades. That's what they said.
Wow. That's a lot.
But what are they washing?
No, it's they're selling it, I don't know, to themselves or something. I'm going to have to look up.
I'm looking it up right now. Because
when I hear washing, I'm thinking of laundering. From a nefarious standpoint, they're washing the money.
It's not not laundering. It's more like manipulation. Market manipulation.
It's a form of market manipulation where a trader or a group of colluding traders buy and sell the same or substantially identical financial instruments such as a stock, future, cryptocurrency, NFT, or other assets, essentially to themselves or between controlled accounts. The key characteristics are no real change in beneficial ownership or economic position occurs. The trader ends up roughly where they started. So basically,
it's a wash.
They engage in it to inflate trading volume, making an asset appear far more actively traded and liquid than it really is, which then attracts real buyers and sellers who see the buzz. It creates a false impression of demand or interest, which can help pump the price. And manipulating rankings on exchanges or data aggregators, very common in crypto or volume, and we're going to talk about this. And in traditional markets, sometimes to meet volume thresholds for index inclusion or generate commissions. Now, we have heard about this with NFTs and different tokens because why? They fall off the DEX. If they're not being actually where people, the customers come into the DEX and they see the coins and whatever. If this
you're talking about the user platforms, though.
Yes, I guess you're saying, the user platforms. Sorry, thank you for correcting me. If you're talking about user platforms, you go in and you're trying to find someone's token and so they can't find it. Why? Because it has no activity. So it kind of falls off. So these guys, it's sounding like they're kind of going back and forth with it to show like, oh, it's still doing really well. We're changing it back and forth, but they're really not doing anything, but they're creating the buzz and the demand for it. And then you couple that with all the conversations surrounding it and all the things. And this is not just Bitcoin, and I'm just not beating up on Bitcoin, but since you did hear that in the hearing, that's kind of interesting that they specifically said 70%.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who said that. And yeah, because that's a serious allegation. Really, a fact, a statement of fact in a hearing. So wow, unbelievable.
I have watched so many of those. It was a digital asset one. It was like, 2022, 2023.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't recent. This wasn't a recent
No.
one.
You know
I
what?
thought you were saying you watched one. Yeah, I thought you were saying you watched one.
I haven't actually watched one in a while. I got really bored. Like, I mean, I watched them for years and years. Every single digital asset hearing there was, I would watch it. I would stream it sometimes on Twitter, and I got so tired of like the talking and the talking and the talking and then not doing anything. Like, you know what? Tell me when it's done. I'll read it then.
One thing you could tell for some of those, and I still do occasionally watch them, that was something that I was doing on a regular basis. You can kind of tell which ones know what they're talking about and which ones don't, which ones are pushing narratives,
their agenda.
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
Green asks if there's another woman that could testify, right? Sherman keeps asking who's driving the car. I mean, like over and over and over again.
Gosh.
Nancy Pelosi, like, or not, Maxine Waters, like.
Sherman and Waters, I can't take them. I can't take them. I mean, but it's really, I guess if you look at it like they are representing a day trading is legal trading within the same day. Watch trading is illegal market manipulation to create fake volume. Thank you, Sylvie.
There's a lot of things in crypto that would be illegal in the stock market, like market makers. Or the company can't own their own market maker, something like that. Like it would be completely illegal in stocks, yet it's totally valid in crypto because there's no rules or laws yet, right? So it's interesting.
What I was going to say is in Congress, and in these hearings specifically, whenever I see people that annoy me or whatever, I just think people need to see themselves. So I always feel like they're always playing characters. All these folks are a character. And so you've got the Shermanator and the Maxine Waters and those types of people to ask the questions that some other folks in our neighborhood might ask or might have those opinions, right? And so if those kind of statements aren't made, then there's no reason for a rebuttal to those statements, right? I just wish that sometimes the ones that are in the know that have a better understanding would do a better job to push back on those, because they actually set it up for quite a good opportunity to correct misinformation, and they don't really sometimes, which is annoying to me. But I don't know.
It's interesting. Sylvia, that comment makes me wonder, right? Like, if most of these things like wash trading and the company owning the market maker, if these are illegal in the stock market but not in crypto, and then we get clarity and then we start getting rules, at what point will they start saying, okay, if it's illegal in the stock market, it's illegal in crypto or something, and what would that then do? That's an interesting future theoretical thought.
Man, I'm looking to see here. Well, what else is going on?
Well, I did see. Oh, go ahead, Keda.
Oh, I was being silly and I said everything. What were you going to say, Kristin?
Well, I saw a funny clip of Brad talking about how Chris, I'm assuming Larson, was a conspiracy theorist.
I love it.
And they were always like, yeah, sure, okay. And then the Epstein files come out, right? And they're like, oh, maybe, you have a clip of Brad too, right, Melissa?
I do, and I'm totally sharing it. Let me make sure that I am sharing with what do I want to do here? Stop. I want to make sure I'm sharing it with the audio because sometimes I screw up and I don't do it with audio. So I got this one. Yep, I didn't. There we go. Share this, baby. I loved it. Guys, we're going to watch this clip because if you haven't seen it, it's awesome. And give us the thumbs up in the chat if you can hear it there. That would work. Let's do that.
Like people use this expression, like, flip the switch. And I promise you, if I had a magic switch to flip, I would have switched. Like I would have done that a long time ago. Like what I said at the XRP Community Day, which I then retweeted, somebody summarized it, was that there's not one switch. There's 100 switches. There's 1,000 switches. And it's all of these little switches 100%. And bit by bit by bit until it really does, I think, have an exponential impact. And I think you're starting to see that. It's taken a little longer in some cases. But on the other hand, we've made so much progress. And you're seeing more and more of these little switches flip. And it's the reason why I have so much optimism about both 2026 and certainly beyond. And look, part of that truly is you all are one of those flipped switches. Like seeing the passion in Australia, seeing the passion, we're on a kind of a world tour right now. And like, it's awesome. And each of these individual things and the advocacy and clarifying and debunking the FUD and the misinformation, like it's all part of the number of switches that are being flipped. And I think at some point you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, the switch did get flipped. But it wasn't one, it was the culmination of a decade of those events.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next topic is, $4 billion in acquisitions, which is funny because Brad used to give me shit about my expense reports. And I'm like, yo, you're spending billions now. My Peasley expense my Peasley expense reports. What's the rounding error? Not even a decimal. But anyways, let's move on here. But how do those?
Ashish likes nice wine. You didn't have to buy the expensive wine. Get the cheap wine.
You were making an example of him for a bottle of water he bought at an airport.
Yeah, I was just thirsty, right? But
throwing him under the bus.
Anyways, let's move on. So 4 billion in acquisitions, Brad and Monica. How do they fit together in the product suite? But also, how does XRP fit into those acquisitions? I'd like to hear a little bit about that. And then Monica, what gaps remain now, and how are you looking to close those gaps in the product suite?
Yeah.
I'll take the first part and then hand over to Monica. Like I say this, and I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it. XRP is the North Star of what Ripple's doing. We care more about what's going on in XRP than anybody else. There's obviously a lot of people who care, but we care more than anybody else. That will remain the case. Sometimes you'll see Ripple do something and you'll be like, oh, I see a direct line between they did this, positive outcome around XRP, there's a direct line. Sometimes even people inside the company are like, hey, I don't get it. I promise you that when we do something over here, it may have 1 hop or 2 hops or 3 hops, but we're doing it because we think it's going to drive an outcome in the XRP ecosystem. So if we use these two recent, the bigger acquisitions we made last year, a company called Hidden Road in the prime brokerage services business, and then the second, a company called G Treasury, which has a sizable and growing office here in Sydney. I just mentioned that because I don't know if anybody were here, but kudos to that team. Both of them are a little bit different than how other crypto companies have approached it because they don't do crypto, right? G Treasury is last year processed about $14 trillion of payment flows. Do you know how many of those went through crypto or stable coins? 0. And that's the opportunity. And I promise you, we're not going to go force. They have over 1,000 corporates ranging from kind of mid-sized corporates all the way up to the Fortune 50. We're not going to go force Ripple payments on top of those customers. We're not going to go force Ripple custody on top of those. We're not going to force RLUSD, but we're going to start to introduce it. And we're going to have to start to point out, hey, you're holding these deposits in whatever bank in whatever country and they're getting 0 yield. You could hold those in RLUSD and that would be a better outcome. Hey, did you know you could use XRP for your payment flows? And I'll tell you that the cultural fit of on both these acquisitions, of them understanding the North Star, they are bought in. They see how they can be a catalyst in transitioning a bunch of legacy, kind of boring, fuddy-duddy corporates into this future of financial infrastructure.
Huh? That's not the one. There's more. I gotta find the other one, guys. But
I love it. I love
that.
They seem to be rebranding XRP to the North Star.
I see that, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. And I know that FML did note, this is the changing over to that dent. It says, and I'll put it up again, exponential impact equals dent in the universe. And that gentleman that was talking to him was the one that said, we're going to make a dent in the universe. Was it him or was it somebody else?
I don't know.
I think it was. He was of Indian descent. And I'm not saying that all Indian people look alike. Please don't say that. That's not what I'm saying. But I do know that direct comment was made.
Yeah.
We're here to make a dent in the universe. So
there definitely there is no a switch, right? Like I don't exactly know where that came from, but I think Brad described it pretty well. You know what I mean? There's like 1,000 switches. And as mass adoption starts happening, as people start using it, he said even people who dispel FUD, I love that. That is important. Then, it will just keep momentum and it snowball, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think so too.
I'm trying to find the dang clip, so carry on. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, especially because there's so much that's happening right now. And we've been really distracted from a lot of different things. But 105 people that are watching us right now are not distracted. They're here.
Yeah. And you know what? I have seen, it was always like for years, we were like, after the lawsuit, like imagine when, XRP is like let out of this, hole it's being held in. Yeah. And since then, not only has Ripple acquired so many different companies, but the ledger itself has made so much progress, right? Like we have gotten more features in the last, year than we did the 3 years prior, I feel like. So, 3 years prior, what was the big thing? NFTs and AMM. And then, now we have like all, dynamic NFTs, token escrow, we're going to have smart contracts, smart escrow, batch subscription, firewall. Like we are like the rails and the features that are needed to create the new financial system to allow companies to do their business in a much more automated, transparent, cheap, efficient way, right?
And I think that's important to note. There are so many, businesses that are going to have to come on chain, right? They're going to have to come on the blockchain. And so we really have to, be okay with waiting for these regulations to come through. There's businesses, there's, just financial instruments and just everything is pretty much going to be on chain. Like the transparency factor is a real big deal, and some of it is just transparency and some of it is control. I'll say it. Some of it is definitely control, because if they have it out there, they can kind of try to control what you're doing. You know what I mean? They can say, okay, well, if you have this type of transaction, you can't do this, and maybe I'm reaching in that respect, but I think
No, you're not.
You know, I just feel like that social, the social engineering as well as the social credit score, I think is going to be a major thing, and I think that they're already doing it in China, right? They're already, trying to, dictate what you can and can't eat, what you can and can't purchase, what you can and can't do, where you can and can't go, all of these things. And one of the things I will say is I know that we had talked about the 15-minute cities, and, there's a lot of hubbub about it. And I know they're coming up all over the place. And, people are like, oh, well, they can't do it. They can't do it. I said, no, they already are.
Oh, yeah.
It's already happening. Okay. And I don't know about you, but here in Texas, those 15-minute cities, they've already token gated it. They've already made it to where you have to pay in order to be able to get there. And the way that they're implementing that is through their tolls. They've made it to where it is so difficult to be able to get to those areas without doing a toll.
Interesting.
Almost every roadway. And I have seen the documentation that says so.
Interesting.
And they've noted the fact that they utilize the Texas Tollway.
Wow. Well, when I went to the Architecture Museum in Chicago, they straight said they were going to be the first 15-minute city. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
And crypto used to scare me because it is programmable, right? And so it can have complete control. But what doesn't scare me are the tokens that are truly decentralized and can't be aren't programmed and can't be taken from me, like XRP, HBAR, Algo, So, and Trump has said no CBDC. That's great until they pass a law. That just means it won't happen during Trump's term, right? But I think it's important for people to understand this so that, like, they don't advocate. We advocate for blockchain in the right way, right? We advocate for the decentralization, for the open, transparent, public chain and all that. But we don't advocate for the money that they can shut off on us when they decide there's a gas shortage.
Well, that's why it's so important to have shows like this, where we're encouraging people to educate themselves, because if there is ever a time to get involved and educate yourself on something that's changing massively in the world, now is the time. What I will say about 15-minute cities, yes, that is a form of control in some respects, for sure. On one hand, you could look at it like those are going to be, these people that live in those cities are going to be controlled, right? On the other hand, you could look at it like people that don't have a lot of money to be able to go driving all over the place and, go to the doctor, go to the grocery store, go to there, go to the bank, go to this, whatever, who might like it quite well to live where they can walk or ride their bike, to do everything that they want. That might be like a form of heaven for them. And
well, have you seen some of these places?
Having to access a 15-minute city where you have to pay a toll to get there, kind of controls the amount of people that are going there. So it could serve as just kind of like a additional, deterrence for people that don't belong in that city. They don't live there, right? So they shouldn't be hanging out around there or whatever. It just costs them something. It's a choice.
They always charge you for your own prison, right?
And and it is. No, and to be honest with you, listen, I've been to these places, right? I've been to them. And they're a place that you want to be. Like legitimate, and I'm not making a joke, like, because it may be stores there you can't find other places, and in order for you to get to it, you have to pay that toll in order to get there. Now, right now, those tolls are not very expensive. And I understand what you mean about they may not belong there because they don't live there. And I kind of understand that. But at the same time, it's like, what if there's a restaurant there that you can't find anywhere else?
Yeah.
Well, in Clear Fork, they have every type of restaurant you can think of, even down to like fine dining steakhouse that I have never seen any other place, right? Or a soul food restaurant I've not seen any other place. You see, so all I'm saying is they have things there that people are wanting to go to. Ralph Lauren, Tiffany's, all these
Moneybag said 15-minute city and elite will provide what the elite decide and what you need. Hell no.
See,
you'll go to that fine restaurant and be eating bugs.
But here's the thing.
You're eating steak.
Here's the thing, though. It's everyone's choice of whether they do at this point in time, right? That's why we have to educate ourselves. And all I'm saying is, for say somebody that's a little bit older, maybe being able to live somewhere that they feel is safe and they're walking around and they can do things, I could see where that would be attractive to some people. Me, I would rather live out in the country in the middle of nowhere. That's not my thing. I don't want to live in a city. I definitely don't want to live somewhere like I've never wanted to live in a community where you have to like an HOA. No, thank you. Like, yes, they'll do my sidewalks and all that stuff, but they're also going to tell me what I can have on my porch, what color I can paint my house, and all the things. I don't like that. I don't like but other people do. Other people do. And so I think that they are maybe trying to try out all this, the tokenization of things and all of that. So yeah, I mean, it is. We have to educate ourselves, man. We have to educate ourselves and understand how this stuff works, or you will get folded in. I mean, that's just a fact of life. It's going to happen.
Going back to like educating yourself, right? Like stable coins, like Tether and USDC, like they can claw that back. They can take those stable coins back out of your wallet. Like that is completely programmed money. You know what I mean? They said it in a hearing because Sherman was doing that whole, well, we need to know whose wallet's what, right? Because we need to know who's driving the car if there's an accident. You know how he says that all the time? And that guy was like, I don't need to know whose wallet it is to freeze it or take it back. And Sherman didn't know what to say, like in that Congress hearing. I have the clip on Twitter. On our after space, I'll put it on there because it was just kind of crazy. So know what you're holding and know whether it can be taken back or not, because that's your money.
Well, and here's in my position has always been, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but if you get any kind of assistance, well, they don't call it food stamps anymore. I don't exactly know, but yeah, you got EBT card or whatever. I mean, like back in the day, they with food coupons and the EBT, they already kind of told you some of the stuff that you could buy, what you could and could not buy with that card. So it's not like we haven't been doing that anyway. And I think that, for people when there's been so much exposed about giving money out to people that shouldn't have gotten it, right? The idea of being able to claw that back when that person should not have received those funds is attractive to me when you're talking about taxpayer dollars funding someone's lifestyle, right? Now, how far do they take that? Where, is it right for them to tell them, you can only buy, regular, like healthy food, no pop, no beer, liquor, wine, that sort of thing. I mean, really, if the premise is I'm giving you this money for you to live and here's your food, then you better be buying food with it, right? Not liquor and cigarettes and, food with no nutritional value whatsoever and that sort of thing. But so that's where this kind of stuff, this is WEF ideology, one world order. Hell no. That's what
I can see. Okay. Melissa, I can see your point. You know what I mean? Like if the government is giving money and they want to ensure it's being used for what they're giving it for, right?
Yeah.
But hell no, am I trusting them that they're only going to do that on the people that didn't use the money? I mean, they're probably in cahoots with the people who didn't use the money, right? And then they'll take it away from the person who made it themselves, right? Like the government has proven that they cannot be trusted with control. So I'm out.
I'm out. But what I think is like, I don't know what kind of funds that they will give, for those types of programs, right? It might not be the exact same thing. I personally do not want to be holding money that they can claw back. Obviously, no. But do I think it's not a bad idea to have control? Same thing with government spending. Right. Having that be
all of that.
correct, having that be on the blockchain and transparent where we can see where this money is going and be able to claw it back when you give a grant out to someone or some of these people, like all of the things that they've exposed as being fraud. Our government has given money out to all these folks that did not spend it where they were supposed to spend it. Right. This type of process, I think, will help. At a government level, I'm talking about government program. I'm not talking about you and I with our making our money and having them be able to come in and take. Hell no. That is not, and that's why we have to educate ourselves. But I do think it is incredible, important tool to be used in the future, and the government is the very first one that should put that into practice, where we can see where you're spending and all these Tom, Dick, and Harrys that you're giving. Sorry, Tom, Dicks, and Harrys. Not trying to use your name in a derogatory way, but all of the different people that they're giving all this money to, that they're actually spending it. Because if you're a company and like a nonprofit and you're giving out grants or whatever, there's conditions, right? Mm-hmm. You have to give me this application for this grant, why you should get it. And then I say, I'm going to give you this money and you're going to be able to spend it on X, Y, Z. That's it. Right. Right. At any point in time, you're spending on different stuff. You've breached the agreement, right? That's how I feel like our government should be, where you're giving out all this money like candy and these people aren't spending it what they're supposed to. That should be able to be clawed back into the government, back into our taxpayers, to where it's either given back to us, the taxpayers, or it's put back in the pot to give to something where it's supposed to be spent, type
well,
thing.
Moneybag says CBDC is all about control. It may start with UBI, but the goal is enslavement of humanity. Read Revelations. Crypto can be used for good or evil. As with anything, Moneybags, anything can be used for good or evil. Everything has a yin and a yang. There has to be a balance. And I'm not saying that it's good, bad, or indifferent. All I'm saying is I do agree it can be used for good or evil. We choose to be on the good side of it. And hopefully, to dispel some of the evil that may come from it. But yeah, I think that
shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Moneybags, not Bob. Really appreciate you coming to the Digital Ladies Unscripted tonight. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Super active in the chat. We got about 10 minutes
He
left.
also asked, when has government been used for good? Never. No. Maybe when we started, right? The Constitution and Bill of Rights was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Well, especially if you've got people that are in Canada that look at that Bill of Rights and the Constitution as a document that is, extremely valuable in that respect, and the principles of it are right. The principles of it, right?
Yes.
Now it's up to humans in order to be able to.
We the people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My daughter and I got into this argument the other day. We were watching a movie and this cop was trying to save this woman and he didn't want to follow protocol. He told his partner to kick in the front door and his partner is like, I can't do that, And my daughter's like, it's an emergency. Like, you know what I mean? And so then I'm like, pause. Wait, we got to talk about our rights over an emergency, right?
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, I think it's fantastic that you have that kind of conversation with your daughter, right?
Yes.
This is what we need. This is what was been lost all this time. And that's why, you know, I was listening to Space earlier and I was saying like why I'm so excited and happy about the awakening that's happening with so many people that have never dipped their toes or even given any of us any attention are starting to learn. That's why I love the digital asset and crypto space, because it forces you to ask questions that you never asked before. And through doing that, you go on this journey where you're just like, oh my gosh. And guess what, guys? Your opinions might change over time. You might think something, and you run into somebody and they give you a great point that you hadn't thought of before, and you're like, oh yeah,
and then frame it a different way than what you may have been thinking. And when you do, you're like, but hold on, that's a very valid point, you know. And the thing is that's when you feel like you really have grown, and that the people that you're around have grown. It's when you can have those types of conversations, put out information, and then more thought processes can be gleaned from it as well as explored. So I think it's super important that we do have these conversations, you know, because you never know, one, where the bias might be. You never know where the thought processes came from. If you just heard it from your parents and that's all you know, and that's all you ever knew, you know what I mean? So when it comes down to, you know, being in these types of conversations, that's what makes this group of people so important, because we are willing to have those types of conversations.
Absolutely. Shout out to Hillary in the house tonight. Thanks for coming to the show, guys. Yes. I did find the little clip that I was looking for. I don't know if we want to go backwards with it, but it is such a fun clip that I thought we'd play a couple minutes of it if you guys want me to.
Yeah, of course. And for the 143 people that are in the room, hello. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. And definitely come and hang out with us every week, because we're here faithfully. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, for sure.
I love it. And I want to give a big shout out to Bank XRP. This is his videos. Followed him for a couple of years, and he always puts out the best videos just over the years. Just gems and more gems. So we love you, Bank XRP, and thank you so much. And here we go. I think I got it at the right spot now.
Well, so where, you know, Monica and I both experienced, Chris Larson, co-founder of Ripple, chairman of the company, a fabulous human being, and he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. And that's fun and interesting sometimes, and sometimes you're like, huh? But one of the things that Chris has said for a long time, to Monica's point around it, it's always felt like there's just an invisible negative force kind of attacking in various ways. And you're kind of like, what is going on? And he had always said that Joey Ito, who ran the MIT Media Lab, had something out for XRP and for Ripple. And I admit I was always kind of like, look, I don't know if that's true or not, but like, we got to keep building, we got to keep going, and like focus on what we can control. And as you may know, Gary Gensler ended up as part of the MIT Media Lab. Again, connecting those dots. It's like saying Voldemort.
I can't believe he said it. I can't believe he said this. It's fantastic.
Anyway, so it's interesting because Chris always was a little conspiratorial about this stuff. And now that we have seen the public Epstein files, you're like, holy shit, he's kind of right. And now what's interesting about it, they were afraid of us. They were afraid of us because the technology was ahead of its time and it was a threat. And they were trying to do things to, put pressure on it. And again, I don't think I totally appreciated in the earliest days how prescient some of Chris's concerns were about that stuff. But in retrospect, it was real.
Yeah, Chris used to always tell me, hey, people are hating on you. You're onto something big. And I was like, we're on to something massive. There's a lot of hate out there. But this is a great segue into my next question around over the years, there's just been a lot of, I would say, like negative media, pointed words or negative media about this relationship between XRP and Ripple. And I mean, some ones that, just sort of always, that I'm always going to remember are like one here. For more than a decade now, the company has held vast quantities of magic beans, XRP. Ripple is not worth anything outside of its XRP holdings. No one uses their tech, no activity on their ledger. I mean, how wrong was this? So, I mean, you look and you fast forward today, XRP is, gaining momentum faster than Solana and others on tokenized real world assets, 1.9 billion. Ripple stablecoin, RLUSD, is now a top 50 stablecoin, $1.5 billion market cap, tremendous job. And then Ripple payments, Monica, 100 billion in total transaction volume. Now that is not nothing. And so, man, one question I have for you guys is like, when you read those headlines, how did that make you feel? And now, now looking back at that moment, what's your reaction?
You go first.
I would say to the people saying there's nothing going on in XRP Ledger, First Ledger, Doppler Finance, Zaman, Flare, Braza Bank, Just Token, I can keep going, Aviva Investors, DVS, like there's real significant shit happening. And you mentioned just, the growth. I mean, we've seen from $100 million worth of real world assets on the ledger in January of 25 to now $2.5 billion. And if you look at like the RWA charts, it's considered the number 4 chain for RWAs. So I think that the proof is in the pudding.
100%.
Proof is in the pudding, guys.
Yes, it is. Number 4 chain for RWAs.
I just thought that was so cool. I didn't really realize that Chris Larson was a conspiracy theorist, but I will say, when I did early research on him, knowing that he was the one that was really opening up the peer-to-peer lending with Prosper and all of the things that he had done early on, is he kind of laid the groundwork for the direction that he was going in. And so I just think it was very interesting to hear that he was a conspiracy theorist on top of it. So yeah,
I feel like you have to be.
Man, you're not kidding.
I feel like to be in crypto, you have to be, because it is so complex that you have to have an open mind. You have to sit down, you have to learn it and look into it and learn it, right? To really understand what you're looking at. And that conspiracy theorists do the same thing with the truth. This is why so many truthers end up in crypto, and the people that don't have that mindset to be open-minded and say, what is this? Tell me about it. They don't end up in crypto or looking for the truth.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we got probably, 60 seconds left. It's been a great conversation. I hope everybody that's in the chat, there's 148 of you. It'd be fantastic if you would join us in the After Dark space at 1010 on X. I posted the link in the chat. It would be fantastic if you would join us and liven up this conversation a little bit more. Any final words, ladies, before I shut her down?
Come and see us over in the after space so we can continue this conversation. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yay! All right, guys. We love you, Amanda. We'll see you next week. Everybody, have a good night and join us in the after space.
Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and RT. Dip a toe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting